Hello. Hi, hello, and everyone who is watching this video right now. I hope that you're having a great day today. So after presenting myself on the last video that I've made, in case you haven't seen that, my name is Juan Felipe, just to clarify that. The people at COIL has sent us a database on stomach cancer, and we need to analyze this today. This way we can show our skills and we can work together, and we would see the differences in between countries. In this case, since I am from Ecuador, and I am a student of University San Francisco of Quito, our professor has asked us, the people at San Francisco of Quito, that we need to analyze the data from Ecuador. So today we're going to work step by step, reviewing the different data, and also there are some questions that we need to answer in this video, and I'm going to do that exactly. So yeah, with that being said, let's get started. So yeah, here we are with the Excel sheet that we are going to be working on. The first thing that we needed to do was to make a dynamic table to analyze the average, the deviation standard, and I also added the median because I thought that it would understand the database a little bit more. And it actually did, because here in the average we see that it's 1.68, and here in the median it's 1.44%. This represents actually that taking in consideration a little bit more higher values instead of just maintaining itself with the average. We can see that because of the median, because it's a little bit lower. And so yeah, this was the first analysis that we needed to do. Next, we needed to do this dynamic table. Here we have it. So we need to add these countries that are here. We need to add Ecuador because, well, I am from Ecuador and it's what I was going to focus on. Then we have Mexico, Spain, and the United States. The filters here were the same, sex and age group. We needed to put in by all. I forgot to set that. Here we have them as well. Since we're going to be working on a series of time, we need to put also the years. And lastly, here we have the percentage of each of the countries and the total of each one. So here we have the average of each one of the countries. We can see that Spain has a higher average from the rest. Ecuador is the one that goes second. Then we have Mexico. And lastly, we have the United States. And lastly, we have here the deviation standard, which we can see that there are lower deviation standards for Mexico and the USA as well with the average. And with Ecuador and Spain, same, we have higher deviation standards, especially for Spain. This shows us that the deviation goes a little bit higher on Spain than from the other countries, and in USA things are a little bit more the same. Here we have on the third question that we needed to answer, here we have a graph. This is the series of time that we needed to see, and I'm gonna go a little bit closer so you can see it a little bit better. So things that are really clear that we could analyze here. First, we have this. In Spain, we see that it has the highest percentage of death rates, since it has a peak of 3.5, and then we can see that it goes down. It goes extremely down. It has its highest peak among all of the countries, and then it goes down until 2022. Then another thing is that the United States started with one of the highest points, and then it just went down. It didn't have another peak, on the contrary with the other country that is Mexico. It also started pretty down. It started at less than 0.5%, but we can see that it started to increase and increase and increase over the years. And here around here we see that Mexico started to go down a little bit. Then here we have Ecuador, which is interesting since we see that there were no database starting from 1965, I believe. So it was from here, 1966. That is when these people started to collecting data for Ecuador. As well, here we have this space, which I believe that is because they didn't have data for that year. It was here in 1976. They didn't took any data for this collection of data. And here we have, as we've seen before, this is the average of each one of the countries in its total. And here we can see that Ecuador surpasses the average around the 80s or so. Here it started to go up. And I've got to the conclusion that, as we can see here, it has its it went really down and started again go up the line of Ecuador. And it's because here we have around 2020 I believe that it's because of the pandemic, since people weren't getting treated as much. They were getting treated for other stuff, and as well they couldn't go outside a lot to different hospitals. We can see that also here in Spain and here in Mexico, that they've actually had this, the average went down during this year, and then it went up again, which is very interesting. And actually here in the United States, you can see it a little, but not that much. So yeah, this is what we have analyzed from this. Later on, I needed to focus on Ecuador. So I've filtrated the same stuff, age group and the country, but this time I was going to focus on the female and male of Ecuador. And we can see here that it is actually like pretty same. There are not different variations just here during these years. I don't know exactly why. It's really weird, because here around in 2016, we can see that the males have a little bit higher rate than the females, and the rest is basically the same. They are really on pair between one another. And we needed to answer some questions. So first we had the average for each one of them, and we can see that the average for the male is a little bit higher, so they have a higher mortality rate. Then the deviation standards is as well, it's not so big, so they have a higher mortality rate from the female. This was really interesting. The highest point of mortality rate wasn't from the male, that we can see that its average is really high and its deviation standard it's really low. In this case, females had actually the highest point of mortality rate, and it was in 2006. They had a 2.89. On the contrary, with the men that had a 2.84. And this was not the same for the minimum. And the minimum, they stayed the same. Men had still, even though it was the minimum, it still had a higher rate on the contrary with women. And lastly, here we have some questions that we needed to answer with this cross-tabulation table. The questions were these ones that are right here. So which group of age represented the highest proportion of death over time? It was 85 years old. We can see that in this table over here. And it's here, it has a 50%. As you can see here, it's on the 85 and plus, and it has its highest mortality rate in comparison to the other ones. Then we have which year presented the highest death independent number of deaths independent from its group age, and we have it was 2022. We have it was a 5.5% on 2022. It was actually really high on comparison to the other ones that all of them are on 4%. Which percentage of young people such as us of 20 to 24 years old died of this cancer in 2022? So it was a 0.20%. It's actually really, really low in comparison to the other groups of ages. Then taking in consideration the year 2007, which percentage of people with the ages of 75 and 79 died because of this cancer. Here, this we can see it over here. So here we have it. It was here. It was a 5%. Here we have the 75 to 79 age group, and here we have on 2007. Yeah, that was basically it. And lastly, we have here this question: taking in consideration the people that were from 25 to 29, in which year had its higher percent of rate of death of this cancer. We see that over here. They had a 7.87, in contrast with the other ones that had a 7.30, and the rest of them were like 2, 3, 5, 4, and that was basically it. So yeah, I hope that you find this really interesting, and yeah. Well, yeah, that's basically it. Bye.
Yo guys, can we turn on the AC? It's really fucking hot in here. Thank you.